What up, Soul Fam? It's 12:11. Whoa! I've been getting those number synchronicities again. They stopped for a little bit of time, probably for about maybe almost a month. It's been a minute since I've noticed them. Hold up, I don't want my water to spill. My water-ta-ta. No coffee, water. Hydrate, hydration. Stay hydrated. I forgot to put lemon in my water. Hate when it happens. I'm on my way to work. It's hot as balls out here. It's 92 degrees. It's really humid. And I cannot wait for the car to cool down because I'm freaking melting. I'm a little sunburned. I was in the garden pulling bushes. I don't normally like to take down trees or anything like that. I like this song. But I don't know. Eventually we're gonna paint the house. They're in the way. They're like 1960s landscaping. It's just not my thing. Okay, so they were just taking up a whole lot of room, and I'm going to plant something else. Flowers. I don't know. Just something easier to maintain, because those bushes were like, no, they're not my thing. But so yeah, anyways, I put up a new intuition exercise this morning on my YouTube, and it's more of a remote viewing. And some of you guys that have watched the video and participated in the exercise have already commented, and you're not doing a bad job at all. You do need to have paper and something to write with to do this exercise. It's just a lot easier because you can get a lot more information, because there is a lot of information. It's very detailed what's underneath that cup. And you guys are thinking you're doing a really bad job, but you guys are picking up on the color, the texture, I want to say location, but like where it comes from, like the animation of it, where I don't want to give away too much, because if you haven't watched the video, I don't want to give away anything. But you guys are doing a really good job. I know some more comments are coming through because I can see it as I'm recording this video. And there was like a bonus challenge at the end of it that I gave to you guys. So I'm just curious if anybody was able to answer anything in that bonus, that remote viewing bonus question. So how have you guys been feeling? That moon cycle was rough. That portal was rough. That vortex, that energy, that eclipse energy. Whoa, was it rough. We're still not in the clear. We are just in the beginning of all these, energies leading up to the to June 21st, to the solstice. So you probably are going to be just buzzing on energy for the whole entire month, on and off, feeling very tired and weak. And then you'll have moments when you're very energized, and then you're going to feel very tired and weak again. Maybe have some aches and pains in your body, which is normal. I can speak for myself. For myself, I get a lot of paranormal experiences around this time. I mean, I get a lot of paranormal stuff that happens to me anyways, but around these times, it magnifies it. It's just insane. So this morning I was seeing something. I don't know what it was I was seeing. And instead of being freaked out about what I was seeing, because normally when I have a paranormal experience, it's usually something that I'm familiar with. And when I'm not familiar with it, I get a sensation of my heart beating fast, or maybe like a little bit of a nervous feeling, just because I don't recognize the energy that's coming through. So this morning I thought to myself, is this even an energy coming through? Like, what are you? Who are you? Why are you here? And I still really don't know what I was seeing. So I asked, am I seeing a glitch in the Matrix? Is this a glitch? Is what's happening is something glitching? And I'm seeing, it was like I was seeing my living room, and then all of a sudden I seen something else. It was like the living room disappeared, like pieces of the wall just like for a second, just like a split second would just like whoop and just disappear. And I don't know, but then there was something else that was happening. It was like a light was bouncing around the room. Like I would look here, and then I would recognize it, and then would come over here and catch my attention. So I don't know if it was just a whole Matrix glitch, or if there was energy just bouncing around in the house. And it was different than what I've experienced before. So I don't know if it's some sort of breakdown in this Matrix or not, but it was interesting to say the least. I feel like that's gonna happen a lot more. I had a deja vu yesterday, and a deja vu is just really you remembering something from the future, from your current time, being on the current timeline, and then all of a sudden having a flash of something in the future that you feel like you have dreamt of or have seen before. And I was trying to remember what was the next thing after that. I'm not really good at that. It's like when I get these deja vus, it's like, oh, I remember this, but then I don't remember beyond what I remember. And I was trying so hard to see if it was something good or bad, so I just thought to myself, I'm just gonna go with the flow. My water bottle keeps falling and I don't want it to spill. Maybe I could just stick it there. So yeah, I would have went live, but the last time I did a live and I was driving, it was really difficult to read comments. I have comments coming down, I can't even read those. And then the ones on live, they don't even stay. It's like and then they disappear. So I really don't know what I want to talk about anymore. I feel like there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are covering everything that most people want to know anyways. And I do understand that there are people that other people enjoy listening to over, the other people that are also releasing the same content. Different words, different characters, different way to connect with that other human. I get a lot of creative ideas in the morning when I'm in the shower. It's like, I want to talk about spirituality and dementia. I really do want to talk about that. I want to touch base on that. I still want to do the Q&A with you guys. I still want to do it live in my room when I'm all alone in the house. There's so many things I want to do. I want to talk about relationships, soulmates versus twin flame. I wanted to touch on that. And the reason why I want to talk about the thing with dementia is because my father has early stages of dementia. We found out after, for those of you that have been following me for a while, knew that my father had that diabetic stroke last year, and he was in the ICU for many months. He was unconscious for many months, and then he pulled out of it. They wanted us to pull the plug, and I refused to do it because I was tapping into something. It was like my dad's soul was like, no, I'm not ready to go. And I was picking up on subtle movements that I can't believe that other doctors that are trained were not picking up on this. And you have machines to show you, but all the doctors kept telling me was involuntary movement, that most patients that are in a coma, it's a reaction. And I refuse to accept that information. I was determined to prove them wrong, and I did. I knew something was wrong. I said he looked like he was having a stroke, and I called in a bunch of nurses, and they were like, no, he's fine. I'm like, are you sure? Because he's my dad. I've known him my whole entire life. And I'm telling you that something's going on with his face. Well, later on that night, that he had a stroke, and it was like something from his PICC line or something. And I don't know, something happened. He ended up having a stroke. So he had a diabetic stroke. And then that diabetic stroke, when he went to the hospital, he was blind and all that. They were trying to stabilize his body because his numbers were like really, really high. And then when they put him, in the hospital, they had to move him to the ICU. And then from the ICU, he was in and out of consciousness. He wasn't all there. And then all of a sudden, he was like unconscious. And while he was unconscious, he had another kind of a stroke from his PICC line. I think it has PICC line is something to do with the thing that they stick in your arm. Well, the fluids or something. I don't know. So that stroke really did some damage. And anyways, I refused to even have the conversation with my siblings to turn it off. I mean, I did mention that the doctors wanted us to talk about it, but I was like, no. So I was talking to my dad, and I was, like, if you can hear me or understand me, like, stick your tongue out or give me a thumbs up for a yes, or stick your tongue out for a no, or whatever it was. And he did it. And I called the nurses in, and she's like, oh, that's involuntary movements. I'm like, no, it's not. It's voluntary. I'm asking a question. He's responding. He's responding to my questions. So then they called the doctor to come in. The doctor says the same thing. No, that happens to people that have brain injuries or whatever, strokes that are. And I was like, what is wrong with these people? They are just blind. It's like they wanted me to pull the plug and just get them to go on, and I refused. Well, I recorded it, and I said, well, I'm going to record this, and I'm going to show it to my family. So I recorded it, and I sent the recording to my family. I called the manager of the hospital and showed them the video, and I was telling them how the doctors and nurses were responding to me and my family and all this stuff. So needless to say, the care got a little bit better. They were more attentive after that, because I think they knew that I was there and I really cared, and I was really paying attention. People that have dementia or a stroke or anything that causes damage to their brain, even children that have autism, different spectrums of autism, it takes time, because some children that have autism, it takes it's like they don't have emotion. I feel like they do have emotion. It just takes them a moment to express it in their own way. They don't show emotion like how an empath would show emotion, or like somebody that would not be on the spectrum would show emotion. So it just takes a minute more to process, because their brain works differently. I don't know how the whole thing works, but I know it's something how the brain processes things differently. Sometimes we are, right brain music and art, and so people that have autism or a stroke or brain damage or dementia, sometimes they're more responsive when you sing to them and you're creative with them, versus I think the left side of the brain where it's more cognitive and you want responses like this, and it doesn't work like that. So you just have to have patience, and in your spirituality also comes from the creative side of your brain. So I definitely think and believe that there is a link, some sort of door to the other realm, that dementia has something to do with dimensions. And I think that that might be a hard pill to swallow for so many people, just like autism is a different door to a different dimension. And it might be a hard pill to swallow because people don't have that awareness, that understanding of what it could even mean, other than what they're being told by a doctor. Their limit of understanding seems like it has a cap, and once the cap has been capped or the door has been closed, that's it. There's nothing beyond that. And I don't believe that. I believe that there are many dimensions, and just because we seem like we're checked out in this dimension doesn't mean that we're done for. We're not. It's just that I feel like a person that has dementia or autism or some sort of brain damage is living within different dimensions, and they're in and out of this one and probably the other one, and hey, they could be in and out of many other dimensions once they're at that point, once they're not being held here physically, mentally, 100%. And I guess you would have to have an open mind to even consider thinking about what that even means. So for my dad, I believe I was pulling him into this dimension and he was responding, but he was also in another dimension. When he finally woke up, he's home now, but when he finally woke up and we've asked him questions like, did you dream? Do you remember anything? And he remembers nothing. He said everything was just darkness. It was all dark. There was a few times that I went to visit him. One time was actually creepy, not creepy in a bad way, but it was like eerie in a way. I was visiting him in the rehab center, and we were just sitting there quietly because he was sleeping. And then he opens his eyes and he looks at me. He goes, "What is that song you're singing? It's really beautiful. It's a very beautiful song. It's almost angelic." And I was like, "Aw, the angels are singing to you, Dad." And he was like, "No, you're singing to me." And I didn't want to say I wasn't singing to you because, I don't want to say that to a person and make them, in this realm, make them feel like they're losing it. But is it a possibility that maybe in one of the other dimensions, my soul was singing to him, serenading him? Has anybody ever considered that maybe that could be a possibility? And I just thought it was a really beautiful thing. So I left it as that. And then the next time I went to go visit him, he likes to play instruments. So he has these little bongos. So I brought his bongos with him, or to him, to see if that, would liven him up. Anyways, long story short, he's home. He's been home for the last year now. And he's okay. He has his moments. You can tell he's slipping into the other dimensions every now and then. He's weak. He fell not too long ago, and he couldn't get up, so he had to call us. And me and my husband went to go help him. By the time we got there, he ended up kind of like army crawling, but he did. He kind of did this like little army crawl, and he got himself to an object that he can help pull himself up. He was trying to mow his grass, and we didn't think anything of it because he's well enough to do a lot of things by himself, but I'm noticing he's starting to slip up a little bit. He refuses to go to a nursing home, and he refuses to live with any of his kids. My husband is his caregiver. He takes care of him when I'm working. And when he leaves for the night, my dad goes about his business and does things. And it's getting to a point that I think he's going to need to be forced to live with one of his kids. I don't know how that's going to go about. I don't know how you can force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. He really just wants to stay home. And it's very expensive to find somebody to live with him and take care of him as well as my husband takes care of him. So it kind of sucks. I feel like he wasn't ready to die when he was in the ICU, because at the time me and my siblings were going through something that we were not talking, and it was like, I don't know, since 2016 to 2019 or 18, something like that. I don't know. It was just years. 16, I think it was like 3 or 4 years we weren't talking. And my dad going into the hospital and that happening kind of brought us together, and we all talk now. And I feel like now that we're talking and getting along better than we were, my father is starting to slip. Like he's like, okay, I fulfilled what I needed to fulfill, and now I'm ready to be with family. Because there's a lot of things I'm noticing, very subtle things, but I pick up on the subtle things, and that's because I'm hypersensitive. People don't normally pick up on a lot of these subtleties that I do, but I'm noticing things like he remembered his father's birthday. It was amazing, you know, even though his memory is not so bad. It's old memories he has no problem remembering. It's new things he has a problem remembering, like taking his dinner pill and stuff like that, or not his dinner pill, his nighttime bed meds and stuff like that. But he's been requesting to go. He's been talking about his mom and his dad a lot. He's been talking about his childhood a lot. He requested to go visit his dad at the cemetery. I don't know. I just feel like it's time to make his life comfortable and be with him as much as I can, with my family, my husband and my daughter, and, you know, make life that he's living currently meaningful for him in the now, so he can go. I believe he is on his, I don't like want to say too much because I don't know if he'll watch my video on a lucid day and be like, oh wow, she feels that way about me. But I feel like he is preparing for the crossover. That's what it feels like to me. He's preparing for the crossover. And you know, it's like you're preparing to go on vacation, and you're putting a list together of everything that you need to bring with you on vacation. Well, I feel like that's the stage he's in right now. He's in that I'm putting a list together and preparing myself to do the crossover. So, spiritually speaking, I want to be there for him to make it, you know, as peaceful as possible and as loving as possible. And his disease is the reason why I want to talk about dementia with you guys. And I want to have more details for you guys and more information as to why I feel like there is some sort of a spiritual connection with this disease in the physical, and how this disease is connected to the spiritual realm. And because there's no cure for it, is because there's no cure to close the spiritual door. Just like there's no cure, I was going to say there's no cure on how to open it, but that made no sense. There is practice on how to open a spiritual door, you know, but there is no cure or solution or practice on how to close the door once it's open. That's what I was trying to say. So that was weird. You saw the camera just like change filters by itself. So something's here. I thought it was an ambulance. Prime time. Is that a message? Prime time services. Prime time. Seems like that's a message. This is prime time. The last time I played music on one of my videos, it wouldn't even post. But yeah. So I work for the next couple of days, and I still have that pain a little bit. When I have a day off, and I always say this, when I have a day off, I'm gonna work on videos, but it seems like when I have a day off, I'm working around the yard and the house. It's I'm new in the house that we bought, and it's like there's a lot of yard work and housework that still needs to get done. And even though I say I'm going to sit home and work on my spiritual practice, I end up working on the house. But I'm being guided intuitively, so if it comes a point where the housework can be paused and put on hold, then I'll do some spiritual stuff. Like today, I was guided to do the remote viewing exercise, so I did it. I was driving to work right now, and I felt guided to record a random video about nothing in particular, just me talking to you guys. And maybe some of the information, what I'm saying to you, will resonate. Some of you may care, some of you may not care. It might not be your thing to hear something like this, but I just want to kind of let you know what I have, you know, my goals, what's in the works for me to get out to you guys. Trying to persuade my husband to go to New England this weekend when I get out of work. We'll see. He's convinced that that there is a quarantine or something if you travel out of New York, which I think it was. No peak show. I think there was, but I think it's lifted, but I don't know. Anyhow, I'm gonna go head inside and I will talk to you guys later. Have a blessed day. I love you guys. Mwah. Bye.